The best sounds on radio. Diamond FM, shining supreme.
The time is 9 o'clock.
Aago mẹ́sàn-án ti lù.
For the best of national, local, international news and sport, tune in to News Punch and Diamond 88.7 FM. News Punch, all about the news.
It's exactly 9 a.m. Good morning and thank you for joining us on today's edition of News Punch on Diamond 88.7 FM Ilorin, where we bring you the trend and stories across the globe. My name is Mekamua Osigbodi. Here are the stories making waves across the world. In Nigeria, former president of the Nigerian Bar Association, Dr. Olisa Agbakoba, SAN, has urged the Presidential Election Petitions Tribunal to conclude petitions on the February 25 presidential election before the inauguration of a new president on May 29. The Independent National Electoral Commission declared All Progressive Congress presidential candidate Bola Tinubu as winner of the poll. But the candidates of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, and Labour Party candidate Peter Obi, who came second and third respectively, rejected the outcome of the election and have filed petitions at the tribunal to challenge it. Agbakoba urged the tribunal to adopt the procedures used for speedy conclusions of arbitration matters in its approach to the cases. And still in Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari has sympathized with former governor of Abia State, Orji Uzor Kalu. The chieftain of the All Progressive Congress APC and Senate Chief Whip lost his 61-year-old wife, Ifeoma Ada. The president also consoled the family, friends, and associates, urging trust in God for comfort and care during the difficult period. On the foreign scene, Australia has said it will ban TikTok on government devices, joining a growing list of Western nations cracking down on the Chinese-owned app due to national security fears. Attorney General Mark Dreyfus said the decision followed advice from the country's intelligence agencies and would begin as soon as possible. Australia is the last member of the Security Five Eyes Security Alliance to pursue a government TikTok ban, joining its allies the United States, Britain, Canada, and New Zealand. France, the Netherlands, and the European Commission have made similar moves. In the exciting world of sport, recently sacked Chelsea boss Graham Potter has rejected the chance to return to management in the Premier League just a few hours after his sack. The former Brighton boss has rejected the opportunity to manage Leicester City. Leicester City sacked Brendan Rodgers on Sunday following their defeat to Crystal Palace in the Premier League on Saturday. According to reports, Potter is set to take a break after his sacking by Chelsea on Sunday. That's all we have for you on this edition of News Punch. Up next is the Diamond Breakfast Show, where we bring you the analysis of the stories. Do stay tuned.
The major talking points in Nigeria are always on the lips of the citizens.
What's going on in this country? Look at smaller countries taking lead and you call yourself giant of Africa. Yeah.
Nigeria don't spoil my business too much. Nigeria is too hard for us. I mean, they want to kill us. Father, not kill us for Nigeria. Oh, please, help us beg them.
They should reduce their expenditure so that they can free enough money for social development.
I wish for a Nigeria where we elect a leader based on competency and not popularity.
On the Diamond Breakfast Show, we place the spotlight on the critical issues in the country.
Government that says they are broke can prioritize construction of an additional runway over education of the people.
How can a government, how can you hurt Indomine? This is intolerable. It's provocative.
Now, you see, when you look at our democratic journey, we are yet to practice genuine democratic system in Nigeria.
Join us on Mondays to Friday on the DBS from 9 to 10 a.m. The Diamond Breakfast Show, amplifying the voice of the people.
From the studios of Diamond 88.7 FM Ilorin, this is the Diamond Breakfast Show.
It's 4 minutes after 9. Good morning and welcome to the Diamond Breakfast Show. It's a fantastic day on a Tuesday, the 4th of April, 2023. Another blessed day to be gracing your airwaves. And this is the Diamond Breakfast Show. My name is Mekamua, Osigbodi. Friends call me Mecca. This is the show where we bring you analysis of some of the major stories from the week. And of course, as is customary, I do not do the analysis alone. I usually have an in-house analyst help us dissect national issues on the program. And today we have Mr. Zakaria Lawal Abiodun Gita, Head of History Department, Kwara State College of Education, Ilorin. He's also a public affairs analyst and a social commentator. Good morning, Mr. Zakaria. Great to have you in the studio.
Good morning, the moderator. Good morning, all Nigerians. Happy Ramadan to all Muslim brothers and sisters.
All right, fantastic. On that note, also, Ramadan Kareem to everyone, our Muslim brothers and sisters. We hope that the season is treating you properly.
Oh, well.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Now, bear in mind that you could also be a part of the conversation by following us across various social media platforms. On Twitter, it's Diamond887FM. On Facebook, we're live, Diamond887FM. And on YouTube, also, Diamond FM. Ilorin. Bear in mind that you can post, tweet at us and tag us at Diamond887FM. Use the hashtag the Diamond Breakfast Show. You could also be a part of the conversation by dropping your 2 cents in the comment section. You could also send messages via WhatsApp and SMS to the number 0913 655 6864. Once again, the number is, I beg your pardon, 0913 655 6864. As we dissect the topics individually, we'll be sure to open up the phone line so you could give us your contributions about the various topics that we talk about. And let's get straight into the topics for today. Now, the first topic is the role of the Nigerian youth in the election. The election season has ended, but we will take a reflection to the realities that played out. Before the election, a convincing figure of the number of voters, mainly youth, took over the discussion. Some voted, some did not. Now, it's important to trace our history where young men predominantly took great steps to lead the country. What has changed in this present generation of youth? The quest to represent, to criticize, and to add to very important policies and decision of the government is the argument about the Nigerian youth. The election looked like the perfect time to see the power and energy of the youth on national issues. Were you impressed, Mr. Zakaria, or disappointed at the role the youth played in the elections?
Well, you see, the elections has come and gone, but we'll start to review the events as it happened. And then the youth in particular here, honestly, they have done wonderfully well. At least they have shown that they are ready to at least involved in national matters, especially the political scene, where our life and anything that has to be with it is being determined. I think for the first time they are taking a leading role, especially this generation. Why I still want to look at it is that when you go back to the history lane, we'll see that between 1945 and 1960, those who are championing the cause of nationalist movement are majorly Nigerian youths. In fact, before now we talk of Awolowo, we talk of Zig, we talk of Balewa, we talk of Sardauna and the rest. They challenged the status quo when they were youths to see that Nigeria is live up the hook or the yoke of the colonial masters. And I remember vividly 1953, as the record have it, that Attorney Nahuru was 27 years old when he moved the motion for Nigeria independence. It was like a no-go area. It's like someone trying to commit a class suicide then. And he took that courage to do it. These are Nigerian youths. And when we even got the independence up to even the era of the military, the likes of Aminu Kano and the rest were in their youthful age. Then now talk of the military. Although military is an aberration as far as Nigerian politics is concerned.
Right.
But when you look at the likes of, apart from Irozi, from Gawan, Muritala, and the rest, they were youths. And so all these people use their energy, at least to certain level, to change the history of Nigeria. Unfortunately, by 1979, we now usher in those Babariga people that were majorly the elderly people who actually have more interest about this issue of ethnic and religious sentiment and what have you, which actually spelled doom for this country. Since then, we've not been able to get it right. And even with the return of democracy in 1999, we've seen more of these elderly people dominating the political space. Political space. You will remember that somebody who has been in government since 60s has still the one that has determined what goes on. And I used to say it. It's like somebody who is at departure in the somewhere, whether in airport or what have you, that is going away, will be the one determine the fate of those that are coming in the arrival. Have you seen it? These elderly men of 60 years above are the one determining how the Nigeria will be run the next 20, 30 years, when some of them will be no more. That is why the youth were being challenged. We are docile. Youth fold their hands too much. They will continue to tell us we are the leaders of tomorrow. When that tomorrow will come, and they refuse to vacate. That's why I want to appreciate the roles by which this Nigerian youth played in the last election. Although there may be some level of youthful exuberance and whatever you exercise, which is normal, and somebody who is just growing experience these things for the first time. But the voice is very clear and loud. Right. That no, all this political space has been dominated by these old men, who many of them are going away. Then how would they be designing a policy for us? So, and we want to congratulate all the youths that have actually make it at various levels of their elections, whether as the governor, whether as the House of Assembly member, whether as the House of Representatives, because we have quite a number of youths that actually emerge at the end of the day. Right. And we'll see the role by which youth will play across the parties, whether in this, whether in that, ruling, opposition, and what have you. Then we are now beginning to see the re-emergence of a new Nigeria. By this, we hope that this youth will be able to live by our expectation.
Right. Now, some of the leaders that we have right now, present leaders that we have in the country, took great roles in the younger days. Now, some led important revolutions. We had a president who was less than 35 at a point in this country. Now, what are the major reasons why this generation of young Nigerians look different?
Well, we want to see, one, they were not challenged, in the sense that the kind of orientation we give them is the orientation of wait for your time, which actually has caged their interests, or at the same time discouraged many of them to venture into politics. And going into politics, partisan politics, is like, to us in Nigeria, we see that like we are endangering our life. All this fear has been keeping them before now. And when you see the type of education who are being given to Nigerian youth, I'm sorry to say, they are not that education that provide a kind of sense of leadership to them. For instance, in those days when the nationalist leaders were fighting, it's about providing them with enabling orientation. They have a good knowledge of history, where they know what Nigeria used to be before, what Nigeria was then, and the vision they have for Nigeria. An average Nigerian youth today doesn't have good sense of history. They don't have good knowledge of history. And expunging history from the national curriculum has actually tell on their psyche and their orientation, where they need to know that at a particular so time, somebody took up such. If this historical knowledge were being given, this youth, the sense of patriotism in them, will be weakened. I told you here now that Anthony Enahoro was at 27 years old when he led that very important motion in the Federal House of Representatives. He generated a lot of issues, but at the end of the day, it served as a premise by which other agitators for the independence were doing. When Awolowo was holding sway as the premier of the western region of Nigeria, he was able to use education first as an instrument for liberation, as an instrument at least to make the youth see the reasons why they have to fight for this country. They have to be more patriotic in this country. As that one was going on in the southwest Nigeria, the northern region were also moving in order to do what we call a kind of competitive, heady rivalry, competitive thing, in such a way that if this is going on in the southwest, then we in the north shouldn't need to relax. So there have been a challenge, and all these youth were being given roles. Let me use it that way. Between 1950s and 1970 in these countries, youth were given their roles. Those that will go to the military, those who are going to paramilitary, those, because before they graduate from the universities in those days, you will have seen all these militaries, paramilitaries, employers of labor, whether in the public service, and trooping into these universities to give them this opportunity. I remember there was a time when there was a mass failure in the federal government, one of the colleges in Kefi, yes, that's Federal Government College, Kefi. There was a mass failure then, I think 1962 or so. The premier himself went to that school and gathered the boys and told them, look, we as a government are trying to make enabling environment for you to study hard so that you take over the mantle of leadership of this country from us. Your own role is to sit down and read so that you equip yourself with required intellectual power to pilot the affairs of Nigeria, that they are investing in them in order to take over the mantle of leadership. These are the orientation we are seeing. How many of Nigerian youth that were born in the 90s have the idea of this? We rely more on sciences, we rely more on these things without giving them the prerequisite knowledge that will make them or transform them into a kind of patriotic Nigerians. And that missing link of not having good knowledge of history has actually affected their psyche until when the situation is now forcing Nigerian youth to see the reason why they have to take the mantle of leadership.
One very important aspect that we need to dissect and slowly move away from this is the aspect of education. How much of an impact would education have in solving all of this problem?
Yeah, a lot. A lot. If you educate a generation, you have actually empowered them because they will know their left from their right. They will know the do's and don'ts. Over the years, our education has been tailored towards a kind of achieving a political end. It has not designed for nation building. Even when we are under the yoke of colonialism, there's what we call education curriculum. There is always a philosophy of education. The colonial masters know what they want then. They want a catechist. They want an interpreter. They want somebody that will work in. Then they need some little, all these young clerks and what have you in the public service. That was their own philosophy. By the time we got independence, we now have a philosophy of empowering Nigeria for what? For human capital development. And this human capital development led to the establishment of various universities between 1963 and 1970s. I can tell you, between 1975 alone, over 12 universities were established in Nigeria, purposely to design what we call human capital development at a very higher level. The universities were well funded. Everything were provided. The teachers' education then has the reasons why they have to establish teachers' education to provide an efficient, conscientious classroom teachers that will do the job for the passion of teaching. Then, from 90s or in the late 80s to 90s, all this philosophy has been defeated because of this corruption. If you see the establishment of universities today or any education institution, is only to achieve a political end. It's not to bring up the kind of citizens we desire. And that is why, even when you look at the image of Nigeria here and there, even in the advanced world, those images they see is more of a corrupt Nigeria, not that images of a Nigeria that is having its own integrity to protect. It's about our education. When you see an average Nigeria youth today, are those that are matching trousers in the name of what? Zagging, nagging, ragging. And you say those ones are the ones that will take up. Then our education has failed us in that direction. When we now see more of these our celebrities as our models, apology, I'm not trying to condemn any celebrity. But is that how a country that is yearning for development should go? That will now be what we call entertainers all over the world. That is what Nigeria is known for. The best hip-hop artists, the world-rated star and what have you. And then in the area of movies and what have you, Nigeria are making waves there. We are failing in industry. We are failing in economy. We are failing in agriculture. Politically, we are failing. Then they now know us that when you see us, we are entertainers. And then that has been the tainted image of a black man. With the Europeans have conceived as far back as 1700 and 1800 that the blacks are mere entertainers. And in the 21st centuries, we are still maintaining that status. Our education has not been able to equip us enough in such a way that we will be able to champion the cause of development for development's sake. Despite all the resources abundant endowed in this country, which one have we done? We are selling our crude oil raw. We are selling our cocoa raw. We are selling our coffee raw. We are exporting our cola raw. We are exporting our cashew nut raw. That is not a sign of development. And it's because our education has not been designed for that. If you say, okay, STEM, science, technology, engineering and mathematics is the thing that the National University Commission is using as a benchmark for the admission and what have you, then how many of these our scientists have been able to turn these things around? Until we revive our education system towards sincere development, not a lip service thing. Ajakuta still is lying idle there for all this while. If they say they are doing this, they are doing that, nothing. What about all these petrochemical refineries? Lying idle over years that we have a crude oil, we are importing oil, and we think all is well. Then Nigerians, the Nigeria youth are now rushing or trying to reason for what? For posterity they did not merit. How will you say it?
Well, no doubt education is one very, very important aspect of youth involvement in when it comes to election and political matters. Another very important aspect that I want us to look into is the society in general. Do you think that the society is fair enough to accommodate youth to offer their opinion and involvement in certain transitions?
Society is ready. It is the youth that are lazy. Yes, they are ready. Once you can organize yourself and they see your sincerity, Nigerian society is a society that is very flexible. Imagine group of youths now putting themselves together under a particular organization, establishing a kind of extramural classes where the young ones will be at least given education, at least supportive to what they are being given in the school. Those youths have actually started a kind of a noble cause. Over time, when those children were going back to their parents, and the parents started seeing changes in their children, those guys those youth that have put themselves together will have been a force of reckoning in that society. No single society that doesn't need their youth especially for transition's sake. In the socialization process, one of the very vital agents of socialization are the youths, because they were the intermediate level or agent between the older generation and the younger generation. They are the ones that they believe were exposed to the worldview, the global issues, where they will now be able to reason. Now, these are cultural practices. This is how the global issues is going. How can we bring up the truth? At least trying to make some kind of reform, transform this to the younger generation without necessarily offending the older generation. These are the youths. Until Nigeria, you started seeing it that they are agents of change in this country. That is when they will see that the society is ever ready. My brother, society is not in the heaven. Society is where we live. The youth are product of society. They are from a particular family, living in a particular family. If they are the one that emerge naturally from their own society, I don't think there will be any resentment into their own reform, provided it is not against the taboo, or it's not against the norms of a particular society.
Now, while you were speaking, you made mention of the fact that they need to be in collaboration with the older generation. Yeah. How much of that have the youth of the generation done in collaborating with the older generation by seeking advice from them and getting counsel from the older generation?
Well, we have this issue of mentoring is what is lacking as far as Nigerian political space is concerned. The politicians, quote and unquote, only want those they will use and dump. Not that those that they will mentor for mentoring sake, and those that will see the potential of a leader in them, where they will be the mentoring. That gap is lacking. Assuming it is, many of these politicians that are at the age of 60, 65, going back to either Senate or other, will have left the political space. If assuming they've been able to mentor those that will take over from them. Unlike in the business class. In the business class, especially take Igbo for instance, when you enter an average Igbo shop, you will see 2-3 apprentices or more learning the trade. After about years of service under him, you have to set him up. That is mentoring. In education too, when you see a university professor, you see those that are doing PhD, you see those that are doing masters, you see those that are doing first degree. Under him, mentoring. By supervising their thesis, by supervising their dissertations and what have you, you are doing mentoring. So that when they are not there at that seat again, those that have mentored will take over from them. Unlike in the politics. Because of one thing, the lucrativity that surround the political office. They are ready to give that to their own children than to mentor any other person following them. And that has been creating problems within the political spaces that no, we can serve you and still serve your children. It's either we at least move away, we detach ourselves from you and form another thing. History will always repeat itself. The question we ask the political leaders today, how many of the Awolowo children was Awolowo was able to mentor? If not the likes of Bolaige and the rest. This one from Ijesha, this one is from Ijebu, this one is from Ibadan. That was how. And when you look at the great Sardauna mentor, in fact, at the end of the day, people find it difficult to know whether Sardauna is having a child. And he was able to mentor across the 19 northern states of Nigeria today, even beyond. That this one will say it's because of Sardauna, that one will say it's because of Sardauna in military, Sardauna in public civil service, Sardauna in agriculture, Sardauna in business, Sardauna. These are great leaders who see that some people must take over from them. Umaru Yar'Adua acknowledged Sardauna despite the fact that his father was one of the ministers. That these are the people that mentor their thoughts, that mentor their thinking. This is lacking in Nigeria between the older generation and the younger generation, especially in the political sector.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Zakaria. No doubt that youth involvement in politics is a very, very super important topic and discourse in Nigeria as a whole. Let's go on a quick timeout. When we get back, we're going to dissect more about youth involvement in politics and the elections, and of course, get your reactions about this. Stay here. This is still the Diamond Breakfast Show.
Going full throttle with non-stop hits. 88.7 FM.
ara ríro kò sí mọ́ àwọn ká ti sá lọ àrùnmọ́lẹ́gùn ẹ̀yìn dídùn làkúrẹ́ ìgbé wọ́n ti lọ wá bí wọ́n sí kára ó lè pé bàmù rẹ̀ àtòrà dáadáa.
kókó lára ọ̀tá le gbéra ńlẹ̀ kó dìde kára ó lè pè ń bá àtòrà wọ̀ àtòrà pẹ̀sẹ̀ àtòrà dáadáa kegun tó kegun náà kára ó yá gágá ara ń ronú tẹ́lẹ̀ kò ronú mọ́ tẹ̀ bá ti fi kára ó lè pè ń bá ra lẹ́sẹ̀kẹsẹ̀ ló ń ṣiṣẹ́ wọnú igun tó sì ń ṣe àtúntò rẹ̀ òṣùbù yẹ̀kẹ́ fa párọ̀ tàbí fi ẹsẹ̀ dá fi kára ó lè pè ń bá wọ̀ káì ara rẹ̀ ó lè padà yakinlala action ó jẹ́ àwọ̀ká àròmọ̀lẹ́gun làkúègbé ara ríro tàbí ẹ̀yìn dídùn kára ó lè pè ń bá lọ́kọ̀ gbogbo wọn agbára pọ̀ kára ó lè pè ń bá. Tuyi Pharmaceutical Industries Limited àwọn tó lórúkọ tó ṣe é gbẹ́kẹ̀lé níbi ká po oògùn òyìnbó ló ṣe é kára ó lè pè ń bá. ẹ̀rọ ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ pín ìrèpàtú òpèrè ta pàtà pọ́npọ́n kára ó lè pè ń bá. ó kì í síbẹ̀.
kára ó lè pè ń bá mú rẹ̀ àtòrà dáadáa.
The federal government, through the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, announces the availability of COVID-19 and childhood vaccines nationwide. With the disturbing increase in reported cases of COVID-19 infections across Nigeria, protect yourself and loved ones from the harmful virus by getting vaccinated. Visit the nearest public or private health facility and mass vaccination sites today to receive the first, second, or booster doses of COVID-19 vaccines. COVID-19 vaccines are given to persons 18 years and above, including pregnant women and breastfeeding mothers, while childhood vaccines are given to children from birth to 5 years for protection against polio, hepatitis, yellow fever, measles, meningitis, and other vaccine-preventable diseases. All vaccines are free, safe, and effective. For inquiries, visit www.nphcda.gov.ng or call 0700 220 1122.
This message is brought to you by the National Primary Health Development Agency in collaboration with the Nigerian Red Cross Society with support from the Africa CDC SLL program.
Hey, where'd you get your fabrics from? Where'd you get your textile materials from? Do you need Swiss lace, London lace, sample crepe, design crepe, London silk material, Duchess, Chiton material, Guinea brocade, Galila of all types, Kampala, Senegal Galila, Ankara, sample material, Ashofi, and co. Yes, all you just need to do, walk into Mama Ifeoma Textile Hub, located at number 241, Upper Ibrahim Taiwo Road, adjacent General Roundabout. For more inquiries, contact 0913 562 8324 or 0907 128 6255. Mama Ifeoma Textile Hub, your shop plug for all your fabrics.
Diamond FM, your one-stop dial.
It's 33 minutes after 9 a.m. Good morning. This is still the Diamond Breakfast Show. My name is Mekamua. Osigbodi, friends call me Mecca. And I'm joined in the studio by Mr. Zakaria Lawal Abiodun Yita, Head of History Department, Kwara State College of Education. Ilorin is also a public affairs analyst and social commentator. Once again, it's great to have you in the studio, sir.
Thank you.
And right now, we're talking about the youth involvement in the elections and, of course, at a wider scope in the political space. Now, one very important aspect of this conversation is voter apathy. Not from the age, but from the youth. Is this the right step forward?
Actually, that is a disappointing aspect of the last election. When you look at the number of collected PVCs, especially in Kwara State, we are talking of 1 million plus. But when the election results keep coming out, we have less than 500 total. A very serious one. And that means the minority were the one determining the fate of the majority. Those who are actually doing what we call nonchalant attitude to voting or electoral process are not helping this country. It is a civic responsibility that everybody must see more of a kind of duties or obligations on this country. And whether we like it or not, the social contract theory is binding on all of us. It is a kind of contract that we enter without even signing any paper, because whether we like it or not, we were born into a society, and the society is being governed by states. And when we talk of states, I don't mean Kwara State here. I mean a polity where we have a definitive leader, and that leader is providing security. Having doing that, we have to at least relinquish part of our freedom in order for the political leader to control our affairs. That is simply what Thomas Hobson and the likes were actually explaining under social contract theory. In as much you are under a state, there are some civic obligations and responsibility binding on you. One of it is how to choose your leader.
Fantastic. Now, just before we get the reactions of the listeners, what is your advice moving forward for youths in Nigeria?
The youth need to be at least reawaken their consciousness and charge through all barriers to make sure they take over the leadership of this country. It is no matter of necessity. It is necessary and important if we are to move forward. They have the energy. They have the intellect. It is only to reorientate their thinking from get-rich-quick thing that actually derail some of them into cybernetic crimes and all other crimes. They need to get right and quality education that will actually provide them for that leadership. They need to shy away from the political circumvention, where they now put their expectations and whatever on their political leaders or whoever been their leaders that are trying to tap from their own wealth of resources to build his own empire. Then they should be ready to see Nigeria on the path of glory and development, not a Nigeria that they will be running down in terms of their posting. Nigeria is good, Nigeria cannot good again, and all these things cannot be. Nigerian youth must see hope and vision in Nigeria and be ready to see to the actualization of that hope and vision. Violence is not the way. Revolution is not the way. But transition.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Zakaria. Who better to champion the hope for a country like Nigeria than the youth? This is the time to rise up and do better as a youth and participate actively in discourse that concerns Nigeria. Now is the time for us to get your reactions about this particular conversation. The number to send your messages to via WhatsApp or SMS is 0913-655-6864, or you could call 080-00-887-887 or 0913-655-6952. Hello, good morning. Good morning. Name and location.
My name is Abdul and I'm calling from Alagbado.
Sorry, your name again?
Abdul Rashid from Alagbado.
All right, Abdul Rashid, go on.
Yes, I want to appreciate your guest. Yes, really spoken well. But when you talked about capacity the other time, I think that was masterminded by the present ruling class. How do I remember that it was during ASU strike, a lot of youth registered for PVC in various homes. Now, when ASU strike was eventually called, people advised the government that they should allow the children to go back home, collect their PV and vote at home. It is until when it was like a week or 2 days to election. That was when NEC now came up and said, you cannot go home. When a lot of them couldn't at that particular moment collect their PVC anymore. And I think the present set of leaders we have, they are doing all they can the youth don't get it right. They use them as political dogs to allow their own children to come out and die for political positions. I think what your guest I said is actually the way the youth, including myself, should change our thinking and think of how to take over the mantle of leadership and make sure we do well whenever we have the opportunity of being elected. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much for your contribution. 0913-655-6952. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, sir. Dr. Zale from Cherry Schools.
Good morning, Dr. Zale. Go on.
Yeah, I want to say that the current political leaders, elders, even currently don't want the youth to come up at all. Why do I say so? If you look at them, they only use the youth for their own selfish end and dangerous end, which is to use them for political thuggery and some other issues. If you look at it, it is only in Nigeria I've seen so far that the leaders only say they call the youth the leaders of tomorrow, but they are only deceiving the youth. Because what they don't want, even when the youth want to come up, they do other things to stop that youth through other devilish means. And that shows that the youth needs to wake up. They even tell you that the power is not given, that it is taken. What are they trying to say? So what the leaders are actually, the elders and the leaders in society, they are also encouraging violence in one way or the other through leadership, taking over leadership. By letting you know that the youth don't expect any elder to give you something. Because I'm saying this because of what the analysis this studio said about the youth, that the youth should know. It's not about the youth knowing. Youths are ready. Serious youths, not anyhow youth. Not youths that are doing thuggery. I'm talking of youths like me and others, that we are ready. But you see that the leaders we have, they don't want us to even come up. They want to do things to just step you down and make you believe that at old age, they still want to remain there. Who does that? So youth should wake up and don't let them make you believe you are leader of tomorrow, whereby today they are using you for thuggery. We don't want that to happen. We only want to take it the way it's supposed to be and step up our game too and take the leadership, not expect them to give it to us. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for your contribution, Dr. Zil. We hear you. 0913-655-6952. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Name and location.
My name is Taiwo. I'm calling from Taiwo.
All right. Good morning, Mr. Taiwo. Go on.
Yeah, well done.
Thank you very much.
I would like to start from the Nigerian Constitution and our Electoral Act. If truly that we want the youth of this country to rise and start participating in politics, so that we need National Assembly to come up with a law that will assist them, that will pave way for the youth of this country in order to be in the position of authority and so that we can be an active politician in Nigerian politics. Because if you look at the present situation in Nigeria, how many youth can sponsor himself into the House of Assembly or House of Rep? So that we don't have the kind of money they are using to collect the form. Most especially in those two major political parties we have in Nigeria. How many of us can book up having 2 million naira in our savings? We don't have it. That's the fact. So that we need a law that will take the way, so that we can participate in politics actively. God bless them. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your contributions. We could go on and on with your reactions, but just before then, let's quickly dive into the next topic for now. Mr. Zakaria, the 10th Assembly looks to be a serious business in the next 4 years. The elections have been concluded. We know who is going to the red chambers and the green chambers. Questions and arguments are still ongoing about who will lead the two chambers. Well, that's a question for the majority in the chambers. Nigerians have questions, and this is exactly what we'll look at in the studio as well. It is important to criticize the past and forge ahead for a different development. The 9th is the immediate past. What's your assessment of their 4 years?
Well, the 9th Assembly has done the little they can within the ambit of their responsibilities of lawmaking, oversight function, constituency outreach, in terms of even infrastructural facilities and development. You see, honestly, you cannot move beyond the way the psyche of who is championing the affairs of the country actually goes. All of us will agree with me that the president, I want to say the outgoing president, within the limit of his ability, has done what he could. But it's not enough as far as the challenges in Nigeria are concerned. And this actually restricts or actually affected the pace by which the Ninth Assembly will have moved. Take for instance, when the issue of this ASU federal government issue came on board, there was outcry all over Nigeria. And I remember vividly the House of Representatives intervened. But because of what the minister think he wants to do, and the presidency is somehow silent about it, see what this thing has thrown our public education system into. Also, looking at this monetary policy, when a particular government said this is what they want, and we expect them to have how they want to implement the change of Naira, today we are back to the old Naira after a lot of sufferings. All the interventions of the National Assembly in this matter does not work. And that is why I said, no matter how the Assembly wants to work, once the ability of the person controlling the affairs of the country is somehow not being emboldened, it will surely affect them. And I want to even commend some of them, especially from the Kwara Central. Whether I would like it or not, the truths are there, and everybody is visible for them to see. Unfortunately, the two most prominent of them, as a result of the election, did not lucky to return to the National Assembly. I want to say categorically of Senator Ibrahim Oleregbe, he has actually proved his worth in the National Assembly, in no ramification. When you look at the representative like Honorable Abganiku Kolododo, this is a man that championed infrastructure across the 23 wards of his constituencies. In this quarter, we have never had it like this before. Unfortunately, because of the politicians and what have you, they were unable to return. However, the records are there and remarkably speaking for them. Now, the onus lies on those that are going from here now. The pace has been set. It's either you surpass this pace or you crash. Because these two gentlemen have been able to tell the Kwarans that it's not about going there to be a bench warmer. It's about being an active member in the National Assembly, number one. It's about bringing back to your people the infrastructural facilities, the representation, the other things that will make their life more meaningful in terms of welfare. Then, how to curb poverty. One of the major challenges of this 10th Assembly is how to reduce poverty. Nigerians are suffering. Within the limited habit of these two gentlemen have said, which I see, they have been able to live up to expectation as far as the 9th Assembly is concerned.
Now let's still talking about the 9th Assembly. What are the major differences you can make from the 9th Assembly against other assemblies since 1999? What major differences did you notice?
Well, you see, when you look at the assemblies before now, we have seen the assembly before now that has been into this what we call budget padding and what have you, which I believe under the Buhari administration, it makes sure that issue of budget padding has not or minimized into barest minimum. I now say there may be no other ways by which they are cutting corners. Let me use that Nigerian language, cutting corners. But issue of budget padding has been actually reduced. Then the tension as far as how leaders emerged in the National Assembly, under this 9th Assembly, I think it has been put to rest. When you remember the issue of Patricia Ete, you remember the issue of Galinaba, you remember the issue of Dimeji Bankole, later the issue of Tambuwal issue, you talk of this Salisu Buhari issue. These are National Assembly leadership crises. Even when you look at Chuba Okadibo, everyone saying Weremu and all these other things, they are in the National Assembly. This ninth assembly were able to at least get it right in the emergence of their leadership, and even the issue of committee. And in terms of chairman of committee, right. You remember how they usually see this: one committee is lucrative, one is sugary, one is, all those things at least were able to put down. Right. And at the same time, there has been a kind of harmony within the National Assembly more than it was before. Not that because we are seeing them under party thing, no. But when there is no harmonious working relationship, there is no how they can achieve anything.
Fantastic. Going forward, what are your expectations for the 10th Assembly?
Honestly, they have a lot ahead of them. In fact, when you look at the process of this election, it has challenged them. How? That we want a better representation. We want a good leadership. We want representation of masses, not the representation of their minds. It shouldn't be a family thing again. It's either you work or you are nowhere. And that is where I want to thank the INEC. Despite the fact there are some issues that people, which I also see some lapses there, at least the vote counts. Once the Nigerian votes are counting, we will not have a leader that will not be ready to serve the people again, if that one want to go back. Except in some cases. First thing, our economy is one of those things. They have to go and see how they have to revive the economy. Economic revitalization. The issue of money, banking policy, they have to address it. They have to make funds available. There have to be a kind of legislation that will enable Nigeria to have access to capitals to work. The issue of agriculture is there. We need food security. They have to work on that. Our public education is sinking. We have to see how to revive it. The issue of security is there. We need a better security. Every Nigerian must be able to sleep with the two eyes closed. Our infrastructure must be upgrades. The roads infrastructure, the railway infrastructure, the sea transportation, and all these things need to be upgraded. They have a lot of challenges. And even the president, the outgoing administration has done a lot in terms of this infrastructural development. They must surpass them before we will acknowledge that they have done what the Ninth Assembly couldn't do.
Thank you so much, Mr. Zakariel. It's only appropriate that we get some reactions just before we wrap things up over here. 0913-655-6952 or 080-00-887-887. Bear in mind that you could also drop a comment via our Facebook live session on Facebook at Diamond 887 FM, or you could also send a text to the number 0913-655-6864. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, name and location.
Taiwo again.
All right, go on, Mr. Taiwo, quickly.
With this issue of leadership in the choosing of leadership in the National Assembly,
right.
I want to urge the present elected member of the National Assembly not to follow this, the way they choose the present serving National Assembly member, because there is we didn't achieve anything good from there. That is the reason why people need them as a rubber stamp National Assembly. Whatever the Mr. President thinks, they will always support it, whether it's in the best interest of Nigeria, because he is the one who chose the leader for them. Let them choose their leader. Don't allow any political parties to intervene in the choosing of the leadership in the National Assembly. That is the only way to get it.
Thank you so much, Mr. Taiwo, for your contribution. Thank you. All right, final caller for today. Hello, good morning. Okay, 0913-655-6952 or 080-00-887-887. Hello, good morning.
Hello,
good morning.
Good morning. And what's your name and your location?
Yeah, my name is Ifelua.
All right, Ifelua. In 30 seconds, kindly share your thoughts.
Yeah, I just want to talk about youth involvement.
Right, go on.
Politics and electoral system. I think there are a lot of things that have been faulted, and I'm just going to be picking one out of it, which is our educational system. I think our educational system has been factored in a way that there's no room for creativity, there's no room for confidence, there's no room for active reasoning. I mean, for example, how can a lecturer in school be telling students that if any of you scores 30% in my exam, then you must have done very well. I mean, lecturers come into the class intimidating students, and every average Nigerian student have it at the back of their mind that they just want to go into school and do anything possible to come out with at least good grade. I mean, there's no reasoning, there's no creativity, there's no some. You just find intimidation every now and then. So I think if this aspect can be dealt with very well, I think it's going to lay a good foundation for youth participants. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Felua, for your contribution. Fantastic. So this is where we end the show for today, sir. Sadly, we cannot get any more reaction for time's sake. But on a final note, Mr. Zakaria, what are your thoughts to share to everyone listening today?
Well, my thought has always been that Nigeria is for all of us. Everyone must play his own part and role positively to see that this country move forward and develop. We don't have any other place to call our own, and nobody will come and build Nigeria. Who will be the one to build it for ourselves? Have a nice day.
All right, thank you so much. That's the size of our package today on the Diamond Breakfast Show, a production of the News and Current Affairs Department. A big thank you to Mr. Zakaria Lawal Abiodun-Yita, Head of History Department, Kwara State College of Education in Ilorin. He's also a public affairs analyst and social commentator. Thank you for honoring our invitation today. My name is Mekamua Osigbodi. Friends call me Mecca. Another big thank you to the engineer behind the scene, Mr. Shegun. Thank you so much for making this work. Right after now is the news in our native dialect, and after that is a Bawadasi with Ishola. Ensure that you stay glued to your shining supreme station, Diamond 88.7 FM. Good morning.
The major talking points in Nigeria are always on the lips of the citizens.
What's going on in this country? Look at